That's all without flooding the plane.
We got to drown in here.
Nobody is going to drown. The plane is pressurized.
Have you radioed for help?
Radios don't work underwater, but our course has been tracked on radar, and they know exactly where we went down.
What'll we do?
Calm down.
We run out of air before
I said calm down!
Airport 77 is the third film installment in the Airport series that found some box office success and brings another all-star cast to the franchise. Wealthy philanthropist Philip Stevens, played by James Stewart, is having invited guests flown in his privately owned 747 jet from Washington, D.C. to his estate in Palm Beach, Florida. The plane, piloted by Captain Don Gallagher, played by Jack Lemmon, arrives in Washington and is loaded with Stevens' collection of priceless artwork, which is set to be installed at his Florida estate, which will be converted into a museum. Gallagher meets with the plane's lead production manager, Stan Buchek, played by Darren McGavin.
I wonder which is worth more, the cargo or the plane.
Well, this point's a toss-up.
I'll bet that together they're equal to the gross national product of Texas.
Gallagher also meets his girlfriend, Eve Clayton, played by Brenda Vaccaro.
Why can't we just keep it the way it is?
No. Because I want a wife and children. Not necessarily in that order, but...
The aircraft fills up with a variety of guests. Stevens' daughter Lisa, played by Pamela Bellwood. Rich art critic Emily Livingston, played by Olivia de Havilland. And diver Martin Wallace, played by Christopher Lee, as well as his drunk wife Karen, played by Lee Grant.
Excuse me. I don't mean to intrude, but could you move your ass, dear? Thank you.
That was very cruel, Karen.
If I weren't cruel, Martin, how would people know how kind you are? If I weren't such a sinner, how could you look like such a saint? Isn't that why we're together? If it isn't, tell me. I'll stop acting like such an idiot.
Why should I, my dear? You're so proficient at it.
The co-pilot, Bob Chambers, played by Robert Foxworth, has conspired a plan along with Banker, played by Monty Markham, and Wilson, played by Michael Pataki, to use a sleeping agent to knock out the passengers, fly the plane to South America, steal the valuable artwork to sell on the black market, and leave the passengers to eventually awaken on a deserted island. After takeoff, Gallagher is lured out of the cockpit and knocked out. The conspirators put on oxygen masks and release the sleeping gas, rendering the passengers unconscious. Chambers takes control of the plane, descending below radar range and going off course in the Bermuda Triangle.
We can lose these now.
Here, we have lost radar contact. We're home free.
Suddenly, the plane clips a large offshore drilling platform hidden in the foggy haze, and they lose an engine. As the passengers awaken, the plane hits the water. Chambers is knocked unconscious, while both Banker and Wilson are killed. The 747 soon slips beneath the waves, settling on the ocean floor at a depth of around 100 feet below the surface.
Doc, when you get a chance, there's a little girl back there that's pretty bad off.
Can you put a tourniquet on this man's arm?
You two, see if you can move that piano over there, huh? Give me your belt.
God damn it, how could you let a thing like this happen to us? How could you?
Stan, give me your belt.
John, what in hell happened?
I don't know what happened, but I'm damn well gonna find out.
Back in the United States, a search for the missing plane is launched, and veteran aeronautics expert Joe Petroni, played by George Kennedy, joins the rescue operation and reassures Stevens that the Navy and the Coast Guard will find the lost plane.
So far, they've come up with nothing.
Phil, if there are survivors, they're gonna find them.
My daughter and my grandson are on that plane. You know that? Here, I have a picture of her.
She's a beautiful girl.
She is. I only hope there'll be a miracle and I'll have a chance to see her again.
Just keep searching, Phil. He'll keep searching.
In the meantime, Captain Gallagher, Buchek, and the others have to come up with a plan to somehow get a signal buoy to the surface before the air runs out or before the plane completely floods. Also starring Monica Lewis, M. Emmett Walsh, and Kathleen Quinlan, this movie was filmed in California with some shots in Florida in 1976. Joan Crawford was approached to play the role of Emily Livingston, but she declined. Irene Dunn liked the script, but she also declined. Stella Stevens was seriously considered for the Lee Grant role, but the producers decided that they wanted someone less attractive and appealing for the role, so they didn't give it to Stella Stevens, they gave it to Lee Grant. Lee Grant's character is very, very aggravating in this movie.
This is a self-inflating life raft. It's got a small built-in radio that automatically activates itself when the raft hits the surface of the water. It's going to send a distress signal to all of the units that are searching for us.
On the surface of the water? A lot of good that does us down here.
Well, you're right, aren't you now, Mrs. Wallace? I guess that's why we have to get the raft out of the plane, isn't it?
There's a scene in the movie where Brenda Vaccaro punches Lee Grant's lights out to keep her from opening an exit door when the plane is underwater. This scene was regularly greeted by loud audience applause when the movie was shown in theaters back in 1977. To prepare for his role, Jack Lemmon attended diving school as well as flight training school. Jack Lemmon said, "I wanted to know what all the knobs and dials were for." He later said he regretted accepting this movie role. Christopher Lee accepted his role chiefly because it allowed him to work with Jack Lemmon. The only connection between the airport films is George Kennedy's character of Joe Petroni. George Kennedy doesn't even show up until an hour into this film and has 3 short scenes with about 90 seconds of total screen time, less than any of the other airport movies. Nevertheless, his Joe Petroni character continues the continuity of the other films. This film was released into theaters on March 11th, 1977, and grossed a worldwide total of $91 million. This made Airport 77 a box office success, although not as large as the previous 2 films. And critics were kinda blah about it. The movie was released just 2 weeks before 2 747 airliners collided on the runway in the fog at Tenerife Airport in the Canary Islands. As of the 2020s, those 2 plane crashes remain the deadliest unintentional aviation accidents in history. There is a 1 hour longer extended version of this film, which has been broadcast on television several times, but it has never been released on any home video format. I first saw this movie when I was young on a late night Saturday, early Sunday morning TV broadcast. I actually remember having recorded it on a VHS tape and having that tape for a while when I was a kid, and I swear I remember that the movie started right after the end of Dick Clark's New Year's Eve program in 1994. Sure enough, I did a little research, and New Year's Eve 1994 was a Saturday night. So I saw Airport 77 on New Year's Day 1995 when I was only 6 years old. I remember having really liked it, but the next time I watched it was in the year 2023, and I wasn't as impressed. Perhaps I saw the extended TV version in 1995, and the original theatrical one just isn't as good. Many of the characters just don't seem that likable, and I'm sorry to say, I don't find any of the female characters particularly attractive. Lee Grant's character is an angry drunk and looks like crap. Brenda Vaccaro, a little better, I guess, but she never did anything for me. Honestly, I think Kathleen Quinlan's character is the most attractive, but she doesn't have much screen time. She gets all horny for the blind piano guy, and then he fucking dies when she goes to get him a glass of water. What the hell's that about? Nevertheless, this is still a watchable movie. I gave the first 2 Airport films 7 stars. I'll go ahead and give this one 7 as well, although it's a reluctant 7. It should be 6. But because of the great cast and because of the continuity, I'll go ahead and give it 7. If you are a fan of the Airport film series, I advise that you see Airport 77.